Chapter 32. Durga. And was he really that impressive?
Believe me, he was.
And to you personally, did he impress you that much? She paused to think.
No, to tell you the truth, not really. I've met greater than him,
she said with a wink. Then why did you tell me this story?
because I know it's impressive to you and to whoever reads it. It's not every day you can say you've been with someone whom Alexander the Great dragged by the hair.
Well, that's true. And what about the second part of this first point?
If I became a goddess again?
Yes. She took a sip of water.
I became a goddess again only once.
Where?
In Nepal.
In Nepal. That's far away, isn't it?
My dear, in this long life, I've had time to go almost everywhere. There are few places on earth where I haven't been.
Yes, indeed. You've had time to travel, I said with a hint of jest. She looked at me askance, and in a brisk gesture, she threw the rest of the water from her bottle at me.
Fool,
she declared, trying to sound angry, but failing miserably. I looked at her with the most serious look I could muster, and then threw the rest of my water at her. What goes around comes around, I said jokingly. She made a face that tried to be even angrier, but it couldn't convince anyone, at least not me. And then she lunged at me, as if she was going to hit me. I managed to grab her arms, and we wrestled for a bit, with her trying to break free, but both of us laughing uproariously. I finally managed to pull her towards me and kissed her gently. She stopped struggling and hugged me.
well, you can be a fool like this more often if you want.
As long as you allow it.
What do you think? What are the odds?
I think, at least for now, they're in my favor.
Fair enough.
She said, giving me another kiss and letting go.
But do you still want to hear the rest of the story?
Of course. Is there a legend behind it?
Very brief, contradictory, and not very well explained. The most accepted one is that I made love to a king, Jaya Prakoshmala, and when I left, I said I would return in the form of a virgin maiden. But you know, the interesting thing is not the legend but the fact that there is still a living goddess today.
A living goddess?
Yes, an incarnation of the goddess. They call her Kumari, and she is a young girl selected from many of a certain clan, the Sakya. She must possess at least 32 physical characteristics and is then tested, in case there is more than one girl with the same characteristics.
And is she considered a goddess?
Yes, she is worshipped as such. She is secluded and only leaves the temple during festivals, and even then she cannot touch the ground with her feet. She is always carried on a palanquin. They paint her eyes to make her look even more like those of the gods. They use the paint to elongate them with a black line.
A black line?
Yes, a line. It's not hard to imagine what it's like. Just look at an Egyptian statue or drawing and see the eyeliner. It's the same.
But is this cult widespread?
It's a cult recognized only by Hindus and Buddhists.
Ah, only Hindus and Buddhists. It could be more widespread, I countered jokingly.
Well, it really could.
She laughed. But tell me, does the chosen one remain a goddess for the rest of her life?
No, not at all. Usually, girls between the ages of 4 and 12 are chosen, and they stop being considered goddesses as soon as they reach puberty. At that time, they go on with their lives.
But how did this cult come about?
Well, it came about through a series of coincidences. A brief passage of mine led the people of this clan to consider me a goddess. I helped them as much as I could, without expecting anything in return, because they had nothing to give me, really.
Yes, but by helping, you became a goddess.
My dear, in a place where there are thousands of gods and goddesses, one more or less doesn't make much difference.
Yes, that's true too. But what made this one special?
You have no idea who the Sakya are.
I really don't.
Then let me tell you that their most well-known and illustrious member is named Siddhartha.
Siddhartha, like in Buddha.
Exactly.
Siddhartha is a descendant of the Sakya clan.
More specifically, he would be my direct descendant, and they searched for the 32 primary signs of my presence in him.
This statement astonished me. Here was a point in the world where she hadn't created particularly remarkable legends, or civilizations, and yet her mark was there. She continued,
You know, They say that wherever Buddha walked, lotus flowers would bloom.
She paused for a moment, looking at me, leaving the sentence hanging in the air. Within my mind, a connection was made. Wherever Lilith walked, flowers would bloom. She laughed.
That's right. I knew you'd get there. You see, they looked for physical signs in Buddha to confirm his divine ancestry, just as they still look for them today in the girls who become Kumari. Basically, this girl represents Buddha's mother, his divinity. That's why she's so important.
I was amazed. This woman had influenced history in a way that no other being had achieved. And yet here she was, before me, simple, and saying she loved me. And I, before her, loving her, felt like kneeling at her feet and worshipping her, showing her the respect she deserved. But I didn't do it because I knew it wouldn't be her wish. As she said, she was someone living an ordinary life, a life like mine. But there was nothing ordinary about her.